Hey guys, what's up? My name is John, and it's been a little while. Specifically, yeah, it's been a while. But I said that I was going to do what I wanted on this channel, and right now I don't think I'm actually going to be making a video game just because school is hard, and you know, there's lots of stuff that goes into it. But one thing that I'm super passionate about, and I wanted to start making videos about, was Rocket League. I have over 1,400 hours in the game. I'm currently Champ 3. I play for Auburn's Rocket League team. Mind you, right now that's C team, but it's still Rocket League at a relatively competitive level. And I just really enjoy watching the pro Rocket League scene, and I figured that one thing that would be fun to do would be to go week by week and look at some RLCS predictions for the matches up ahead. So with this new season, RLCS Season 9, I believe, we have 10 teams instead of 8 from last year. And this is just something that I'm super passionate about, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'm also going to try to cast a couple matches, I think, on this channel just because I want to put myself out there and I enjoy watching RLCS as much as I like talking about it. So here we go. Here are the 10 teams that are in RLCS this year. We have Cloud9, we have E-United, Flight, G2, Ghost Gaming, NRG Esports, the current world champions, Pittsburgh Knights, Rogue, Space Station Gaming, and Susquehanna Sonics. I really can't pronounce that. I'm just going to call them the Sonics. And specifically, last week was supposed to be week 1 in this series, but what ended up happening was the servers kind of crashed, and so we're playing week 1 this week. So first of all, I just want to go through what I think the league standings are going to look like real quick, and then after that we'll go into week 1 matchups. So I have just Wikipedia pulled up here, and here are the 10 teams again and how they're competing, and we're just going to go through and look at what I think their ranking is going to be come, well, the end of the season. The notable results from last season was G2 Esports and Cloud9 both finishing at the bottom of the relegation, but they ended up qualifying for RLCS again through the promotion relegation tournament. So I don't exactly know how I'm going to see Cloud9 and G2 stacking up this season. They're certainly two of the most popular teams in the league. G2 is kind of like the fan favorite, I guess, with JNaps, Rizzo, and Chicago. And Cloud9 just has mechanical geniuses like Squishy Muffins and Gimmick, while Torment is just solid in their backline. G2 and Cloud9 won the promotion relegation tournament, but Sonics and Flight were 3rd and 4th place in RLRS last season, so they automatically qualified for RLCS Season 9 through the new expansion, going from 8 teams to 10 teams. And right off the bat, I think that I'm going to say that NRG is going to be our number 1, because I don't see them placing any lower than that. NRG has been very consistent. They actually won last season, and I think that they are the most solid team currently in RLCS. With Justin, Garrett G, the consistency legend, and Turbo Pulsa, they're all really good at this game, to say the least. And needless to say, I would not be surprised if they made it all the way to RLCS Season 9 LAN Finals. Now that's only if they don't pull a G2. What G2 did 2 seasons ago was they went all the way to the Grand Final, then lost to Vitality, and then somehow managed to pull all the way back down to last place in league play. So I don't think that NRG will pull something like that, but it's certainly not out of the question. But I think it's safe to say that number 1 in NA is definitely where they will be. Next up is 2nd place, which I think is a bit of a weird topic to talk about, because now you start getting into the weird zone where we don't really know. And some of the common people who you could have in here could be Pittsburgh Knights. They definitely were 2nd place last season. You could have somebody like Space Station Gaming, who's also played well, or also somebody like G2 and C9. I don't think I see the Sonics placing top 2 this season, and I also don't think I see Flight placing top 2. In fact, I think I'm going to put them a little bit lower down the chart, simply because they were 3rd and 4th place in RLRS last season, and that gives us no reason to believe that they'll be top 2 or even really top of the table at the end of this season in top tier Rocket League. I really liked the way that Space Station Gaming ended their season last season, and I also really liked how E-United finished their season. I thought that they both did really well. We saw Ghost choke it at the end of Season 8 in league play, and they didn't even qualify for Worlds, I don't believe. And they have roster changes too. It is Atomic, Illusion, and Mist in for Ghost Gaming. And so I think for my prediction, I think I'm going to have to go with Ghost Gaming at 2nd place in league play. I think that the change to add Mist is a really good move. We'll see how it ends up panning out for the rest of the season. But I think second place for Ghost is a pretty solid thing to say, even though they did have kind of a weak ending to their season last year. Next up is third place, which I'm going to put as the Pittsburgh Knights. I think that they are a very solid team. I think they're a little bit overrated, which is why I kept them out of my top 2. And I think we'll really start to see the changes as they have gotten rid of Mist and they have picked up AJ in their roster. I think that that will be a huge difference, and that will either make them top of the league, but I think most likely it will put them at third place in RLCS. And now it starts to get super difficult. Space Station Gaming ended off their year last year really well. They made it very far at Worlds, and I think that they are a very strong 4th seed for this. Arsenal, I think, was an undersung hero at Worlds. He played very well, along with AXB and Sypical, not to take anything away from them, but they played very strongly at Worlds, and for that, I think that they do deserve to be up there. But I think that Space Station will take a pretty solid 4th place. They've looked really good in the past, and I hope that they'll bring that into RLCS Season 9. Next up at 5th place, I'm going to put G2 Esports. I think that they just have a very consistent roster, and I think that they got pretty unlucky last season. I think Rizzo is a very underrated player going into this season, and I also just don't see G2 being really good one season and then bad for another too. And most of their series last year were pretty close. They didn't get blown out of all of their series. But still, I think that keeps them out of top 4, but I think that they'll definitely make the playoffs. Next up is our 6th seed, and I just don't think it's going to be Cloud9. And they ended up being one of the few North American teams to win an RLCS World Championship. But I think that E United is going to pick up this 6th place spot. E United has looked really good with Hoxer being, I think, the star of this show, with, of course, Roldiz and AJ coming in clutch when they need to, and so I think that they will be 6th and our final team in the lower bracket regional championship at the end of the season. Next up, the team that I think will make RLCS Season 10, but not make it to the regional championships at all and not have a shot at Worlds, is going to be Cloud9, our 7th seed. Now, Cloud9 is comprised of Squishy, Gimmick, and Torment. All 3 of them are very consistent players. But that being said, I really don't know if I see them playing good enough against all of these teams to qualify for the lower bracket, which is why I'm putting them just outside of RLCS Worlds contention. I think Squishy and Gimmick had a really nice style of play with the flashy tactics and the super mechanically talented plays that they managed to pull off against Dignitas of all teams in the finals. But I think a lot of teams have figured out how to beat Cloud9, and I think that that's going to make it really hard for them to place well this year, but I don't think they'll go back to the playoffs. I think they're just good enough of a team to stay in. I don't think they're good enough of a team to go to the regional championships. I think Cloud9 is also my pick just because I don't really know where else to put them. And I think Cloud9 can be better than 7th. I think that any one of these teams can take NRG's spot atop in a Rocket League. But I think Cloud9 is so dependent on their flashy playstyles and mechanical ability that they're going to get beat out by somebody like E United or Space Station or Ghost, who's just super consistent. And now we have the bottom 3 of our table, and I think my 8th place is going to be Rogue. And I think my 8th place team is going to have to be the Sonics. Sonics have Dapper, Sathu, and Shock, which makes them a very good team, and Dapper already has RLCS experience with CLG and Renegades back in the day, but I just think that they might not be ready for RLCS level play, so I think that they will go to the promotion playoffs, and I think that they'll win, and I think that they'll move on. I just don't think they're going to pull a Pittsburgh Knights, and they're going to lose to teams like G2, Cloud9, Pittsburgh Knights, NRG. I think they'll pick up some wins, so I don't think they'll be at the very bottom. I think that they'll upset one of the big teams. I think G2 might be my most likely to get upset by the Sonics. But that being said, they're going to get relegated to promotion playoffs, and then they're just kind of going to be stuck. Now we have to decide who's going to be our 9th and last place. 9th place goes to promotion playoffs, and 10th place goes straight back to RLRS. And I think my 9th place pick is going to have to be Rogue. Rogue is led by former RLCS champion Kronovi, and also has Wonder on the team, who has just been very consistent. But now with the addition of First Killer, I'm very confused as to how they will do. This is First Killer's first season in the RLCS, and I don't exactly know how well he's going to do. He's definitely a very good player. He's definitely proven that on Johnny Boy's streams. I don't think First Killer is going to have that good of a season, being his first season in RLCS, as he really just didn't even get his chance to prove himself in RLRS last year, which then means our 10th seed is going to be Flight. I do not think Flight is that solid of a team at all, and if I had to pick one team to not win a single game in RLCS, I think it would be Flight. That's not to say they're not a good team. They've got Rapid, Seabass, and Memory, I believe, all three of which who have played on the big stage. I just do not see them doing that well. I think that Flight is probably the weakest out of all of these teams. I've never really been impressed with Seabass. I don't think he's that good of a player. Obviously, he is a top player in the Rocket League sphere, but I don't think he's as good of a player as a lot of people give him credit for. And because of this, I think Flight's going to suffer this season. I think Flight's going to be my 10th pick. So there you have it. I'll try to make a more organized list over on the right now. So at first, we have NRG. Second, we have Ghost. Third, we have Pittsburgh Knights. Fourth, we have Space Station. Fifth, we have G2. Sixth, we have E United. Seventh, we have Cloud9. Eighth, we have Sonics. Ninth, we have Rogue. And 10th, we have Flight. Alright, so now we are on to the matchups of Week 1 of RLCS, and the first one of the day is going to be Pittsburgh Knights versus Flight. And for me right now, I think the very obvious choice is going to be the Pittsburgh Knights. Pittsburgh Knights have looked very strong all through last season, placing second at RLCS Season 9. And while I don't think they're going to do as good next season, I still think that they are a strong enough team and that they will place top 4 pretty handily. Now, I'm slightly biased against Pittsburgh Knights. I am a G2 fan and I had to watch as the Peeps beat them at DreamHack Montreal earlier last year. And being quite honest, that really hurt my soul to see G2 lose to the Peeps, but the Peeps showed that they were very good. The Peeps are now the Pittsburgh Knights. So I think here my clear winner is going to be the Pittsburgh Knights. I'm not going to predict the series score, but I think that the Pittsburgh Knights will get their work done and that they will play well enough to get themselves a 1-0 start to league play. Do I think Flight has a chance? Sure. I think every team has a chance to beat anybody in this league. I think NA Rocket League is very close, which is why some of the teams that are probably pretty good are getting placed pretty low down the tier list. But I just don't know how this team is going to mesh together. Seabass has never really impressed me. Memory, I think, is very solid and will play very well in the backline. I hope the Flight Boys have a good season, but I think that their first season is going to start off really hard playing against the Pittsburgh Knights, which is why I am choosing the Pittsburgh Knights to win their first match. Next game of the day, we have NRG versus the Sonics, and I think, again, this is a pretty clear win for NRG. Turbopulsa is the consistency god, and along with KDOP and Violent Panda, they have won a vast majority of the championships compared to any other group of players. And Turbopulsa was a very key part of that roster. Now that he's won RLCS with both Dignitas and now over in NA with NRG, I just don't see people breaking through Garrett G and Turbopulsa's consistency. I don't see the Sonics being able to have the same kind of firepower as this NRG roster. But that being said, Dapper is a very consistent player along with Sathu and Shock. I believe all three of them have RLCS experience, and so this could go either way. But while I think the Sonics are still a pretty good team, I think that they're going to lose pretty handily to NRG, so that is going to be an NRG victory over the Sonics. Next up is E United versus Cloud9, and I think that this is going to be one of our best matches of the day, because EU has had really good form recently. So has C9. C9 just came off of C9 just beat NRG in a best of 7 in kind of a smaller tournament. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but they won in Game 7, which I think shows a lot about the Cloud9 guys. I think that they have shown that they have worked hard over the offseason and even in missing Worlds. But I think this game is like a 55 to 45 kind of scenario where I think Cloud9 just barely edges out E United, as Hoxer, Roldes, and Ajax have all been in form recently at Worlds. And I think that they'll come out pretty good against Cloud9. But I fully expect for Squishy Muffins to come out angry in this game and to score some really great goals. I think that Cloud9 just barely edges out E United here just due to RLCS experience, and I think that the Cloud9 players are in just a better form right now. So, Cloud9 just barely over E United. Let's go over to our next game, Space Station versus Ghost. And I think this is going to be an upset on my table, and I think this game is going to be what keeps Ghost out of #1 contention, and that is going to be they are going to lose to Space Station Gaming. Ghost actually had some roster trouble this season, which is what concerns me about their future in RLCS. I think that they have the most talented group of players that they've had in the past, but they were going to get First Killer, and they had actually signed First Killer until about a week or so before the roster lock, when they dropped First Killer and they picked up Mist instead. The only reason I can see First Killer getting kicked, I guess, from Ghost this early is the fact that something wasn't working with his playstyle when they signed him initially, or personality-wise, and I think because of that, I think Illusion and Atomic are a little bit mentally off coming into this game. Mist is an incredibly consistent third man, which is why I think that because of him, Ghost is going to be second in the league just behind NRG. But I think this first week is going to be rocky for Ghost, and I think that they're going to lose to Space Station. But this first week is going to be rocky for Ghost, and I think they're going to lose to Space Station. One of the players I was really impressed with Worlds at Season 8 was Arsenal. Arsenal played out of his mind the first few rounds. He really showed me how good of a player he is when I had some doubts beforehand last season, and I think that his scoring ability is going to be the key to Space Station's success or decline this season. He played really great at Worlds. Can he continue that into Season 9? And I think the answer is yes. This is going to make for a very interesting game to watch, and because of that, I think that they are going to beat Ghost in the first match of their season. And our final match of the day is going to be Rogue versus G2, and what better way to end off RLCS Week 1. Both rosters are very talented, but I think the clear winner in this game is going to be G2. And the reason for that is just put yourself in First Killer's shoes. You just gotten signed to an RLCS team after a bit of roster madness, having been on Ghost, then getting dropped by Ghost, and then getting picked up by Rogue on a player switch. Just all I can say is roster changes. And because of this off-season fiasco, also this being his first RLCS match, and also just his first experience out in the top tier. And now for your first match of the week, you have to play against G2. You have to play against JNAPS, Chicago, and Rizzo. I just think that this is a very clear win for G2. They know what they're doing going into this. I think that G2 is going to try some crazier stuff in order to kind of throw off First Killer in his gameplay. I think the G2 boys are going to try to do some crazy fancy stuff to try to throw off First Killer and essentially scare him. And I think because of this, First Killer is going to get knocked off his game. He's going to have some nerves or whatever. And because of that, Rogue is going to lose their first game to G2 pretty handily. So yeah, those are my predictions for Week 1 of RLCS. Let me know if you guys want to see more of this, but right now, I think that that's just where I'm going to leave it. I don't watch European Rocket League as much as I watch the NA side, just because it airing on Sundays is a bit inconvenient for me with homework and stuff. But if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below, and if enough of you guys want it, I will consider doing a European Rocket League version of this video. But yeah, this video is super long, but that's because we had to go through the list of who we thought was going to be where on the RLCS table, but hopefully next time we do this, it won't be as long. So yeah, if you guys like this video, like it. If you didn't like it, well, then you know what to do, and share it with your friends if you thought that this is something that they would enjoy. I'll try to do another one of these for Week 2 after we see these matches this week, and yeah, maybe you'll see a casted version of a game on this channel sometime this weekend. But that's been it for me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.